Hey everybody, it's Jared
And Krista.
and Krista.
So dorky.
Why? It's so cool. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts the last little while, and
Yes,
there's
you have.
different ways people introduce themselves. Sometimes it's one person introduces both people, and sometimes it's, hey, I'm Jared, I'm Krista, right? Depending on what it is. Anyways, we are Jared and Krista with, what's the podcast called?
Oh my God.
Krista just messed this up.
Yeah, and then now I just like second guess myself again.
She called it Tilt Talks. So formerly Tilt Talks, but it's now Truth Is. It's Jared and Chris with The Truth Is. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of The Truth Is. And what's the best thing about our podcast that you like?
I just love talking to you. It's weird because we talk all the time, but
I like being able to do it whenever we want.
Yeah. Thank God, right?
Like it's Monday night at 7:15 and we're like, let's go do it. Well, we were supposed to do this podcast like a week ago, 10 days ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we kept on delaying and we're like, we don't want to. And finally it's like, yeah, let's go do a podcast. And so we have our bubbly. I know it looks like wine, but it looks like it's bubbly. And so we're doing our Truth Is podcast. Today's podcast is going to be about what would we do if we were under 30? And there's a reason for that podcast and that's because we're launching an under 30 program. So we thought it'd be just a great opportunity to talk about the under 30 program. But first, what do I want to do?
Well, I don't actually really know much about this, but you were a little rattled to the point where,
rant.
Well, the point where I wasn't sure we were going to get here because you were rattled.
Yeah, we were out for lunch at Cedar Creek, and because patios are still open here in BC, and I got a text or an email from Google saying that a client left a bad review. And it rattled me.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Why did it rattle you?
Well, we've been in business since 2011, and that was my first client bad review.
It's funny because in my world, it's like, I mean, we get lots of bad reviews, but
tenants.
It's property management. There's going to be.
I've never had a tenant rip us on Google ever.
Tenant or client?
I've never had a client rip us.
Definitely
I've had tenants. You know, every time you keep $10 from a tenant, they go off and rip you on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But I've never had a client leave a poor review.
Yeah.
And it took me out.
So why? Because we've talked a little bit about it, but
well, in this particular case, this client was wrong. I am the first to admit when I'm wrong, except to you. I'll dig my heels in the ground, but I'm usually the first to admit with a client when we fuck up.
Yeah.
And I've always, I've always honored my word. Is like, when we make a mistake, we're going to fix it. And I've always told people that as great as our staff are, they're still humans and people make mistakes. And I tell all of my clients over and over and over again that if there's ever a problem, just reach out to me. I'll fix it. Or I'll listen to see if I can fix it or to see who's right and who's wrong. And this client was ours for 2 years. No problem.
How many properties?
Just one. And it was somebody who couldn't, got into some financial trouble, moved out, rented her place, was literally check to check, legit check to check. And so this popped up on my radar about 2 weeks ago. She sends an email, CCs me about lost keys. So she let us go. She terminated her contract with us and went to self-management because she couldn't afford it. Totally fine. We've lost clients like this before. It's not new. So she transitions from us to herself. And in the process, we went and did a move out for the tenant, and we were transitioning the property over to her vacant. We moved the tenant out. And in the process of all this transition, we lost the key. And so we have lock boxes in all the houses. In the transition, we went to retrieve the lockbox and the key's gone. So this client sends this email ripping me for losing this key. My first response is, fuck off. It's just a key. We'll fix it. Like, even if I have to change the locks, I'll change the locks. That's on me. Like,
it's your expense.
I'm not going to charge her to rekey it. I'm not going to let her go. I'm not just going to give the place back. Right.
Yeah.
Turns out it's a condo. I didn't know that. And so the whole big deal was about a fob. So we lost the fob.
Oh, still replaceable.
Totally replaceable. Like, the fob has a number on it because we have fobs at our office. You have a fob, you punch in the number, disarm, disconnect. And the condo association tracks all the fobs. Like everything's tracked.
Easy.
So this lady rips me on this email. I reply back saying, listen, I'll look into it. Send it to Carla. Carla replies back saying, I've been dealing with this client for 2 weeks. Like it is ongoing. The stuff, the emails
escalating,
and the conversations. And, like Carla is really great at listening to people.
Yeah.
Like if this was a complaint about me and someone says he's an ass, that's totally believable. Someone calls me or, someone starts complaining about Carla or someone else, that I don't necessarily like, I sit there and say, okay, something's up.
Yeah.
And so I dig deeper into it, and Carla, I have all the emails. I get copies of all the emails, and there's tons of dialogue, 3 or 4 conversations with this tenant. So finally, with this client. So client, I then reply back to the client saying, listen, looked into it. First of all, it's just a key.
Yeah.
Like, let's just establish the world's not going to blow up. It's just a key. Any expenses out to you, it's on me. I got it taken care of. She replies back all pissed off that she lost a tenant because of it. And because she couldn't show it apparently.
Right.
And which isn't fucking true. It's a total lie. Sorry. It's a story she's telling herself to justify her reaction.
I'm sure there's validly some frustration.
Totally. And so I reply back saying, listen, I totally are frustrated. I totally get it. Absolutely. Give me the tenant's number. I'll call them.
Yeah.
I will call them and I will, because I was in town, I will show it to them personally. And I'll get the fob from the condo board, Anyways, I ended up talking to Carla. I'm like, listen, call this lady. She's going off the deep end. Just call her. Carla calls her, and turns out that she lost her job. She was diagnosed with some illness, and COVID is scaring the shit out of her. And then you throw in this vacancy.
Okay, so this is what is confusing to me.
The whole thing's confusing to me.
No, you know all these things, but so why does it rattle you so much?
Because she went on Google and ripped me.
Yeah.
And she only told one side of the story.
Yeah.
So that pisses me off. Like, if you're going to rip me, tell the fucking truth.
Yeah.
Like, go in there and say, I lost my job. I got diagnosed with this. COVID scares the shit out of me. I'm scared. I can't afford it.
Okay. So
and they lost my fucking key, and Jared's a dick. Say that.
Yeah.
So then I have to reply. I'm so annoyed at this. Even talking about it, I'm so annoyed.
I know why you're annoyed, but why are you annoyed? What are your values? Which are our company values?
Loyalty, ownership, freedom, and truth.
Right. So they are bumping up against your core values.
Yeah. So anyways, that's totally true. So I do this reply on Google, and my first version of it was just carving her. Yeah. I'm like, you're wrong. You sent this email on this day. You did this. You did this. And anyways, I ended up deleting it. And I just put a post saying, hey, so-and-so, thanks for the post.
Yeah.
Please note, this is the first poor review I've had in 11 years. I have 180 something reviews. This is the first poor review from a client that I have.
Yeah.
I acknowledge her lost key.
Yeah.
I acknowledge how she is viewing things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just said, I want to rip you really hard and contradict everything you're saying. But I said, it's probably best that I just say, I wish you luck.
Yeah, totally.
And that's how I left it. But I was annoyed.
Yeah.
Completely annoyed.
This is funny to me because the truth is, this isn't new. I mean, you deal with lots of conflict owning a company. It's just sort of, it's not your first time bumping up against things.
But it's the first, I feel like I let her down. Like, it's like our clients come to us, and although I'm not doing the showings, I'm not doing the, I'm more than likely the one who onboarded her.
Yeah.
I'm more than likely the one who did an original sales call with her.
Yeah.
So when I do these sales calls with people, like I am legit honest on the call.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that we have the best system on the planet. And I truly believe that my team is awesome. But I also acknowledge that they're humans, they make mistakes, and I try to set it up all right. So when a client comes back for the first time ever, someone has let us go pissed off.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe someone else has, and I just don't know about it. But for the first time ever, someone was annoyed so much that they had to go leave. So then I went and read all her other reviews, and she's just puking on everybody.
Yeah.
So that's just her demeanor. That's her nature.
Yeah.
But it still rattles me because I don't like it.
I'm curious because this is something I don't do well, which is why I sort of stay out of the positions you're in, because I really can't handle this, sort of ongoing levels of conflict like this that come up and just owning business and running teams. And
I
things.
can handle any kind of conflict. Like you see it all the time.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
clients, not clients, but tenants are, call pissed off, or, something bad's happening, or deals going sideways. Like I can handle that. No problem. Someone tells me I let them down.
Yeah.
Cripples me. Don't like it.
Hits you.
Yeah.
Well, I think you did a beautiful job by telling her that
I
you
was
wish
so mad,
her the
though.
best of luck.
But it took me out for like a good hour. So anyways, that's my little rant about a shitty or fucking review that I got today, and I wasn't happy about it. So go read my response on Google. Tell me if I did a good job.
Well, so the moral of the story is, in having a business, whether it's just owning a few pieces of real estate, there's going to be some things you have to deal with, and they'll hit your core wounds and things.
Yeah. So this actually is a bigger story now that I think about it, because our podcast today is about what would we do if we were under 30? How would we build our business?
Yeah.
And I go back to, being misunderstood. Like that's a classic example of someone has a view of me or my company. And I think my company is a direct reflection of me. So they're tied together, I think. So I took this personally, like this person had a view of me when we were out starting our business, building our business. How many people had a view of us? Because at the back when we were 24, 25, growing the business at the start, like how many horror stories did we hear? How many times did we hear people say, you're not going to do it, or
people trying to warn us,
tell us, you're going to fail. Not that anyone ever said that we were going to fail.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really hang out with people like that, even our parents or family. No, we didn't really have people say, don't do that, you're not going to succeed. But I've heard stories of people who have people say that to them.
And we were super underestimated with what was possible all the time. Like
what do you mean?
Like, nobody believed that we were going to do what we said we were going to do, or that we were even doing what we were doing.
Yeah, but we didn't even know what we were doing.
Well, true, but
like
we did more than other people.
So hang on. So that's the second part of that story. Like I think it's really important, because we never really had people tell us we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Aside from, that first meeting with mom and dad when we tried, nothing against mom and dad, they never said we can't do it. They just said they've seen 20% interest.
Yeah.
And they said, be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Like they never said don't do it. They just said, you might not want to go so big. Like, be careful.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful. Whereas there's people out today, like I've heard so many stories. We coach so many clients where, they hang out with people who say you can't do that.
Yeah.
And, so, to play onto your side here in a second, or your statement here in a second, Zig Ziglar says you tell people about your give ups, not your step ups. So we were very fortunate because we hung out in a world where, we were hanging out with very successful people. We were hanging out in the personal training studios where the average net worth was what, 300,000-400,000, maybe more. I have no idea. It was crazy. So we were hanging out with elevated thought leaders.
Yeah. It was definitely a lot more than that.
Yeah, it was huge, right?
Yeah.
And as far as income.
Yeah.
And where now, if we didn't have that influence,
right,
where would we have been if we didn't have that?
Yeah.
Right. So, which goes into what you were saying, because, we would go talk about real estate, and we never said we'd have X amount of real estate. We never said we'd have 150 or 100 properties. We never said any of that stuff. No. I don't recall ever saying that. So no one ever said you can't do that or don't do that.
Well, and I look at a lot of our clients, and they have a really hard time finding people that are up to what they're up to and thinking like they're thinking. We innately had that because of the people we were surrounded by. But it was still hard to find people more our age that were up to ambitious things like we were.
So looking back, so we're 43 now. I'm turning 40. Well, you're turning 40. How old are you? You're 42.
No idea.
Yeah.
I'm about 29. 18 in heart.
You're 42. I'm 43.
Like, let's be honest. I'm more like 18.
Well, no, you look amazing. Let's be honest. Like,
I mean, like,
and
yeah, no, never mind.
Yeah, you're hot.
No, sometime I'm like a kid. Anyways.
Yeah, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking about our age. I don't know where you're going.
If we didn't have that circle of influence. Oh, so if we didn't have the gym.
Yeah.
right? So in the gym, we were hanging out with super successful people. They were our clients. We saw them every single day. If we didn't have that, and where do you think we would have been? Like today, where do you think we'd be? You know, like, because at the end of the day, we did what we did. You know, like we learned a lot of lessons, made a lot of mistakes. But looking back, because this whole podcast is centered around under the age of 30, what would we do if we were go back to 25 years old?
Yeah.
Go back to 25 years old. You made mention that a lot of our clients are having a hard time surrounding themselves with like-minded people.
Yeah.
The mistake I think people make, investors make, is they think those like-minded people are one of two things. One, are in a room full of 500 or 600 people. Okay. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Or two, that they're real estate people.
Yeah.
How many real estate people did we hang out with when we were building the business? Legit, none.
No.
None.
I'm thinking.
Like no.
The odd person who had actually, after we'd acquired quite a few, would start to get one or two.
But when we started,
they weren't influencing us.
When we started at 24, 25 years old, we had no one in the real estate world that we socialized with or hung out with.
And another thing, like, I'm just, all the things are coming up right now. I also remember how many realtors didn't take us serious originally?
Totally. Well, here's why, because I don't take people seriously now. Because people will call me up and say, "Hey, my name is so-and-so and I'm building a power team." Fuck off. And I get what these groups are teaching, and I get it because I was there. I would
Is a power team like a group of people that consults with them?
No, your power team is like, I'm getting ready to buy real estate. I haven't bought any yet, but I'm getting ready to go. I'm going to go big, and I need a property manager. I need a realtor. I need a lawyer. So they go build this team first, but they haven't actually done anything.
Yeah. So,
so I see so many young investors, and I say young, I'm not saying age.
Yeah.
Young as inexperienced.
Yeah.
Inexperienced. They go off and start building this power team when they're walking before they actually, or they're running before they actually walk. Mm-hmm. So the advice I would give people today is like, go do some legwork first, go get educated.
Yeah.
Not so much educated in the big group stuff, but there's books, and you can go do some research on properties and areas. You can go get educated on certain demographics and geographics before you go approach. The first person I'd approach I'd find a realtor. Then from there, you go look at some properties, narrow it down to 2 or 3. Then you find a property manager. Don't go build the power team all up front. Like, create this map.
Well, doesn't the power team organically come as you're doing the thing?
That's how it should be taught.
Yeah. So it's funny to me as you're saying this. It's always interesting to look back retrospectively and how everything makes sense now. But it's almost like analysis paralysis, where so many people are in their heads and spinning out there instead of just doing.
Totally.
And so the power team, I think, gets created. How we definitely created a power team, but that was just organic.
But we didn't create the power team on day one.
Well, we did.
We tried, but that's why people didn't take us seriously. Like, when you go talk to a realtor, we
didn't try.
No, it wasn't called a power team back then. Like, that's the thing. Well, we didn't, because we bought 3, 8, and
no, we didn't. We just
went.
We kept trying realtors, and we'd get frustrated because we were like, they don't get it. They're not taking us seriously or listening to us. So then we'd move on and find a new one, until we had people who listened to the way we wanted to do things.
What were in the early days of 24? You were 24. I was 25. Back in 2003, in the early, say 2003. We bought 3 properties. So let's just use that first year. So it's hard to get into the second year because we really started to get momentum in our second year. And then in our third year, we took off.
Yeah.
So in our first year, what would be like 2 or 3 mistakes that we made? Do you remember? I would say one of them would be using the wrong realtor. So we used a friend of the gym, remember? And we went and looked at some properties, and we ended up buying a property through them in an area called Montrose.
Yeah.
But that would be one, using a friend of a friend, using the wrong person. Because every realtor, the truth is, every realtor says they know how to, not everyone. A lot of realtors will say they know how to play the game.
Yeah.
When the reality is they don't.
Do you remember? I remember meeting with new realtors who wouldn't understand that we already had acquired a lot of properties at that
Yeah.
point. And then
Because we were so young.
well, and them trying to tell us, and we'd be like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I still get that.
yeah, I know, yeah.
I'll still meet with people. I went and looked at a house with a client the other day in Spruce Grove. And I was looking at this house with a client, his realtor's there. And I'm like, yeah, I got to do this, got to do this, and got to do this. And the realtor's like, no, this and this and this. I'm like, dude, I'm like, no. I'm
Yeah.
like, so I ended up telling the client, I said, listen, I do this for a living. He sells houses.
Yeah.
I'm the one stuck with this house when this guy sells you the house.
Yeah.
We need to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I even get pushed back to this day. And like, it's like, fuck, like, just
isn't that funny?
Stay in your lane.
Well, and so this is why, like a small group like we're doing makes sense, where we had to learn the hard way a lot of these things, because we did get suckered into listening initially.
Yeah.
And then till we learned through our own experience how off certain advice was and things, but we didn't have people, to bump things off of necessarily to some degree.
But that's the second mistake. So, as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, that's the second mistake. So we would go to the Real Estate Investment Network, the Rain Room.
Mm-hmm.
Not a knock against it. It's their business model is to put people up on stage for 30, 45 minutes at a time. Their business model is to sell, put bums in the seat and sell monthly memberships. Great business model. I totally get it. But from the person sitting in the seat, us, we would sit there and listen to a speaker for 30 minutes at a time. And we would take what they said as the gospel, thinking that they were vetted to be on stage. And we took what they said as the way it was.
Right.
And then we never went and vetted it.
Yeah.
And so then we would just go run with it. That's mistake number 2, is listening to all kinds of random advice, thinking that they're right.
Yeah.
Because I would sit in the room saying, well, I don't know. I'm part of this group. They're putting people up on stage.
Well,
there's
then
300 other
and it would
people
divide us a little bit, because I remember being like, no, we got to go this way and do it this way. And then, you might be like, no. Anyways, it would cause a bit of division.
Mistake number 3 is lack of guidance.
Yeah.
So we didn't have anyone guiding us. Like we would go to a meeting, and we're lucky that no one, and I make this joke with clients now, but we're lucky that we didn't have someone stand up on stage saying, go invest in Regina, because we would have went and invested in Regina.
No, they actually did start that. That did
in Regina.
We were already not investing at that point.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's what, there was something being built there.
Yeah, I have no idea. Thank God, because if I would have heard that,
that was way later on.
But if we were in our early buying stages, and I would have thought Regina it's like Grand Prairie. They used to stand up on stage saying GP was the place to be.
Yeah.
And so we went off and bought. Now, you're from up that way, so it did work out. But we went there because someone said to go buy there.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I wish I never bought there, because it's doom or gloom. It's really, really hard.
Not to the degree that we did. I'm totally good with it. Just not to the degree, not so heavily invested there.
Yeah. Which goes to our group.
Yeah.
Okay. So you alluded to the group. So this group is going to be a top 30 under 30.
Okay. So this is the thing that always comes to mind, that people must be thinking, like, why is your weight right?
Yeah. Because I'm doing it. No, I'm totally kidding.
No, seriously.
But the truth.
Can I back up for a second? Because at one point you were getting, some pretty decent, not all of it was right, but some good one-on-one coaching by a real estate investor. But what was the problem with that? What was left out of those conversations?
Well, all personal growth,
life.
Yeah, totally.
Family.
It was all real estate.
There was no talk about,
and even
maybe don't buy 100 properties this year if you want to,
even the real estate advice that I got, you weren't on those calls, but even the real estate that I got in 2005, it was just per deal, per transaction. It wasn't like, okay, you're doing this puzzle fits here now, or this move is going to lead to this move. It's a chess match, and there was no forward thinking. It's just like, okay, buy this house. What's the math? Okay, buy it.
Yeah.
There was no, okay, where's this house in 8 years? How's this house fit? So I learned this lesson with your parents a long time ago in 2008. So in 2008, we have the final recession, and everyone's struggling, not just us, but everyone in the world is pretty much struggling. And the farm is going through a transition where They're like, because animals were like $200, $300, $400 or whatever they were as gross. Farms losing money, or maybe not losing money, but they weren't doing nearly as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
And they had to make a decision, either shut her down or grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I've ever heard the expression of call the herd.
Yeah.
No idea what it meant. And call the herd, for those of you who are listening, is to sell the cows that don't produce and replace them with cows that produce.
Yeah.
So as a cow gets older, whether it's a bison or a beef cow, they produce less and less.
Yeah.
And so culling the herd means you get rid of the old, bring in the new, and now you're more productive, which makes you more profitable. So real estate, so ever since 2008, so in 2010, when we started rebuilding our portfolio, I have totally implemented the process of call the herd.
Yeah.
Now, our herd is performing a lot better than it used to be. But when I teach clients to build their portfolio, I have this 8-year, 16-year window. So there's 2 segments of 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where at 8 years, that's when you look at culling the herd, because not every piece of property should be kept for 25 years. That's the mistake. I wasn't getting that advice.
Yeah.
So why is our group better? Lots of reasons. One, it's only 30 people, not 300. So, you can go to these Zoom meetings and all these meetup groups and real estate groups, and you're in a room of, now on Zoom, there's like 1,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem with that is you can never ask a question. You get lost in the crowd. There's no interaction. There's no like peer-to-peer. There's no like-minded people. There's no, like, what we're doing is we're going to take 30 people under the age of 30. They're all going to be interviewed. They're all going to be vetted.
Yeah.
And we're going to hand pick your friends or this group of friends.
Yeah.
And they're all going to be like-minded people. They're all going to want to move in real estate. They might be chiropractors. They might be teachers. They might be, doctors. They might be whatever, but they're going to be under the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
Some might buy 20. Some might buy 4. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take them for 8 months and we're going to teach them everything we need to know about real estate, building wealth through real estate. Now, people hear the word wealth and they think money.
Yeah.
They think I'm going to get rich. Our tagline is actually get rich in real estate. But rich in our world is not necessarily money, wealth.
In the bank today.
Yeah. Wealth. It's more like let's get wealthy through real estate.
Yeah.
Wealth is, love. It is, consciousness. It is personal development. It is, not just love yourself, but love other, and money as well. So it's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
We were never taught that.
Well, yeah, over time, but
not through the real estate circles.
Yeah.
We had to go out on our own and learn all that stuff.
Yeah. Just touches of it.
So this small group is 30 people, 8 months long, and we're going to take them through developing and creating your why or your vision, or Rain calls it your believes.
Yeah.
We're going to go, Keyspark calls it your why, and people call it your purpose statement, mission statement, whatever. I'm going to call it your roadmap. So we're going to spend the first month, we're going to create a roadmap.
Yeah.
And, and then you can't build a business until you know where you want to end up, and then you work backwards. Yeah. Simple. Then from there, we're going to start breaking it out. We're going to start talking about cash flow and what are the 3 reasons why you buy real estate: cash flow, mortgage pay down, and appreciation. We're going to talk about areas and demographics and geographics. We're going to do some personal development stuff. We're going to bring in accountants and lawyers and spend time on joint venture agreements. Because one of the challenges that young people have is the lack of money, lack of credit. Mm-hmm. So more often than not, they're going to have to go build real estate on their own, with other people's money.
Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose of this group, is to really take these people under 30 and really impact their lives, that they are wealthy when they're 45 years old.
Yeah.
Wealthy.
Well, what I love,
not rich.
No.
Wealthy.
But what I love about it is wealthy might mean, you buy 1 house instead of 2, because then it gives you time to, pursue other ambitions. Like
every client that we get, how many times, I shouldn't say it, how many times when we take on a client, do they just want to, at the start of their journey,
so frustrated at us?
Right. Because I think we're going to get fired in the first 30 days.
Oh, I know. I'm like, ooh, this might not last.
Yeah. Because they all want to come in. They're like, I want to get rich. Yeah. I want to buy 25 properties. I want to buy 10 properties this year. We're like, no, you don't.
Well, and yeah, it's like slow down to speed up is what you always
Mm-hmm.
say, which what's a Rich Litvin saying. But
He says that?
yeah,
Get out.
you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh, so it's a Jared Hope original.
Maybe he says, maybe he copies what I say.
It's totally possible.
No, for real.
I mean, highly unlikely.
He says slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Look how smart you are.
Yeah.
You and Rich Litvin.
Seriously.
Okay, so the point is, why do we get them to slow down?
Well, lots of reasons. One, because I think when you're moving slower, you see more opportunities.
Yeah.
When you're moving slower, you enjoy things.
Yeah.
When you're moving slower, you don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
When you're moving slower, you really, just lots.
Well, and we're really letting them see, are they doing it for the right reasons?
Yeah. Well, to me, that's like, you don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, I think the big thing that I've realized with coaching all of our clients over the last 4 years is that people want to get rich in real estate.
Yeah.
But they don't understand what it actually could look like if they play the game right. And I look at that, and this is all coming to me now as we talk. Like, I've never had this thought before until just this moment, because I look at when we started buying real estate, I wanted to be rich. So if someone would have told me back in 2003 that my life would be the way it is today, mm-hmm. I never would have, I'm not talking money.
Yeah.
I'm talking like our connection, mm-hmm. the relationship with our kids, my life, how I work out, and how much time I have for myself, and how much time you have for yourself. And I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I just thought that if I had money, all this would be taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah.
Because if all of this wasn't taken, all this wasn't taken care of first, I wouldn't have the money.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You could have the money and not have any of it.
Well, that's my point. Like,
same thing. In
order for me to have this life, I have to take care of all of this to be able to be present and conscious in the life that I have today. Yeah. It's just like, common thing you hear all the time is something like 80% of football players are broke 4 years after they retire. Well, why? Well, because they never developed on how to be
a skill,
an unreal human being with money.
Yeah.
They just had money, and they were the same person when they were 18, when they got this big signing bonus.
Don't you find, okay, so I actually find we have a societal belief mechanism that it has to be hard and a grind and not enjoyable to build whatever you're building or do whatever you're doing. I find myself still getting caught up in this at times where I make things more laborious or just not enjoyable as they could be because of my mindset.
But that's, like you say, that's society. Society says you have to grind it out and you have to embrace the suck and you have to this and this and this. There's a part of that that's true.
Yeah.
Like there's
is there a part of that that's true?
Well, I think so. Like maybe you have a different view. Like I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe not. Maybe it's not true.
I think, okay, well, there's a degree, but let's get clear on this, because it's like, so getting here to do this podcast tonight was kind of like, oh, do we want to do it? But then when we're here, we're just like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, we love it. It's like no different thing sometimes getting to the gym.
Which we're going to after this podcast.
Yes, we are.
We are doing an 8 o'clock workout.
Which is different than the just like constant grind. There's two different things.
Yeah. So yes, I would even maybe say it a little bit different. There's a time to work hard.
Yeah.
But you can't just like smash through wall after wall after wall after wall. Like, I'm all for working hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's times where like I'll ramp it up and I'll work hard. But what I've learned over the years is when I work hard, I can still have a shit ton of fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I can still stay in balance doing it. Back in the day, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I just worked and I sacrificed all kinds of stuff all over the place.
Well, and this is where, all the little things you'll be teaching in this group is really important, because where that becomes okay is learning to connect back to why you're doing something. Yeah. If you're connected to why you're doing something, when you're up late at night having to do some books or something, or work on a deal, if you're connected to why you're doing it, it's not going to be so hard.
And here's the big difference. Like, when we were doing it, no one was telling us when we were doing it wrong. No one was sitting there saying, dude, there's an easier way.
Yeah.
Dude, try this. Stop it. No one was doing that.
Yeah.
Like, it's true, right?
Well, and yeah, the things that are coming to mind is like, you know, you can still spend time with friends and build real estate, or, you know, like,
No, totally. You can do it all.
yeah.
It's, you know, like a common theme that we get with our new clients is that they have to be buying a property every week, or they have to be doing something all the time. They have to be reading books all the time. They have to be looking at houses all the time. And that's not true.
Yeah. Okay. So
none of that's fucking true.
Okay. So I actually want to ask
Like,
you,
just because that's how we did it, I wouldn't do it again.
well, that's why I'm passionate about helping people not do it that
Yeah.
way. Okay. So I'm going to ask you an update, and then it's going to tie into this very conversation.
Ooh, let's hear it.
How is your 75 hard going, Jared?
No good.
So Jared, I think last podcast we talked about,
I got to like day 52.
like, you've been crushing it.
Yeah, I've had like 104 workouts in 52 days, and like I have a 6-pack, and I got like delts, and I got lats, and I'm doing like 3 sets of 12 chin-ups, and I have a trainer in Edmonton. I have a trainer in Kelowna that I see.
Like substantial growth.
Yeah, like I'm running 8 miles like.
So what happened on day 50? What was it?
52. Yeah. I don't know.
You drove a U-Haul.
I drove a U-Haul.
12 hours.
Yeah. I went to Edmonton, picked up some appliances, and drove them back. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what's great about that, I think.
And I couldn't get my workouts in.
Right. Yeah. But
and I felt like a massive failure for not doing it.
Right. And how do you feel now?
Yeah, I feel fine now. Like, you know, because I'm going to reset and I'll go back at it. And so on Monday, I'll start this 75 hard again. And like, I'll take a few days off and I'll get back at it.
But like, my perspective of observing you is the difference is like, you trust yourself now. You don't trust, you're not going to go off the rails because you trust in yourself to do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of young investors, and they don't have that yet. There's this constant like berating of themselves, and
but that goes back to like, I totally agree. And I go back to when we were 20, I can't speak for I'll speak for me. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to when I was 24, 25, 26 years old. I never had that guidance. I never had that leadership.
Yeah.
And I never had that support group. Like, all honesty, like, I'm building 2 groups. One group it's going to be launched later. That's going to be our weekend, our mastermind weekend. That's going to be so fucking rad. That's going to be at our house and here in Kelowna. But this other group is like, you know, this all started because of that call with Morgan. So I did this call with Krista's friend, Kirsten, and her daughter, Morgan, 21 years old, wanted to get in real estate. And I do this call with Morgan, and I'm like, I hung up the call, and I'm like, holy fuck, I rocked that. I was so pumped. Like, I just loved that experience. And I hung up the Zoom, I closed my computer, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what I needed. I'm going to go create what I needed when I was 24 years old.
Yeah.
I needed all their theory. Mm-hmm. I needed all the real estate theory that was being taught in the Rain Room. I needed that all.
Yeah.
What Rain was lacking was the practical approach, the practical connection. They were lacking the mentorship and the guidance because the room was too big. Not a knock against them, but there's that model works for people, and then that model doesn't work for people. I don't want people that want that model. I want the people that it doesn't work for. Mm-hmm. And that the reality in business that's out there.
Yeah.
And so we're creating this small group where it's like, I'm going to go teach them everything that I needed to know at the age of 24, 25 years old that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so the way it's going to be broken out is once a month there's going to be a 3-hour call. We're going to start September 15th. There's going to be a 3-hour call, and I'm going to have guest speakers. We're going to have case studies. We're going to go over like all that stuff. And that's the group. And then once a month, so, you know, on the 15th of the month, there'll be a call with us, whatever the second Wednesday is of the month. So 14th, 15th, something like that. 13th to 15th, something like that. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to have pods. We're going to have groups of 4 where they're going to have assignments. So every month there's going to be an assignment. So there's 8 months. So the first 4 months, we're going to break it into 2 sections, 2 halves. The first section, first half, you're with your pod for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And everyone's going to take turns being a leader in that meeting. They're going to learn how to set meetings. They're going to learn how to set agendas, create agendas. They're going to learn how to stay on time. They're going to learn how to run a topic. They're going to learn how to create a PowerPoint. They're going to learn how to present. They're going to learn how to give feedback.
Yeah.
This is going to be in these small groups, the pods, they're going to be able to role play and get feedback on the spot. What I loved about that was what I need more of is John Wineland.
Well, and learning to share is a big deal for people.
But learning to share and not just share, but learning to get feedback from love, from a non-threatening place where it's like, okay, more often than not, people get feedback and it's like, oh, I did that wrong. And then you shut them, they get shut down. Where I'm going to show people how to give feedback in a loving way that they're going to respond from it. And then we're going to do it again, take that feedback and redo it live on the spot, where we're going to take these people and make them into young business people.
Yeah.
Because what I never was taught, I'd sit there in a room back in the day and there'd be someone up on stage role playing and I'd watch it, but I never got to experience it. So if I can't get to experience it, I'm trying to play them, their world. I'm trying to be them in my world.
Yeah.
And that's unauthentic. Yeah. That doesn't work. So then when I went to do a pitch to somebody, it fumbled.
Right.
And it never landed.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is, instead of people throwing mud against the wall and using whatever sticks, let's just go forge a different path.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to talk to 100 people, let's just go talk to 5 people and get 3 deals.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to take the big group's going to be more theory approach. The small group's going to be more practical approach. And after the 8 months, everyone's going to know how to buy a house. They're going to know what type of house. They're going to know what area to buy in. They're going to know all about cash flow. They're going to know how to exit. They're going to know about what to do in 8 years, what to do in 16 years. They're going to know how to find JV money. They're going to have all of my paperwork. So we're going to take everything that we wanted to learn and needed to learn at the age of 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And we're rolling it out into an 8-month program.
And then they're going to have a group of people to always be there for them.
Okay. So go back to 2005. That year we bought 64 properties. I had a mentorship group. And that mentorship group was this. It was kind of this. It was a little bit dummied down, a smaller version of it and less involvement.
Less structure,
like no structure. But this mentorship group was people that I bounced ideas off of all the time. It was, I could call them at any time. Like I'm going to create little friend groups.
Yeah. And
after 4 months, we're going to shuffle the pods. You're going to be with all new people, learn how to present with all different people.
Yeah.
And we're going to make these 30 people, business people, we're going to give them the tools to have potentially a successful business.
Yeah.
Will all of them go off and buy real estate? No, not at all. But what if have to?
Well, and maybe they apply it to something else.
Well, not only that, what if we could teach them how to buy their first house with the thought of it being an investment?
Yeah.
Down the road, because you never know.
Yeah.
So that is the under 30 program.
Yeah.
What? Tell me.
I'm thinking.
Do you love it though?
Yeah.
You haven't really heard a lot of the meat and potatoes of it.
No, it's great.
Like you've been watching me work on it and building it and talking a little bit about it and doing some marketing around it. But
yeah,
that's probably the first time you actually heard the whole.
Well, it's funny because there's so many elements of all different things we've done in different areas that have been amazing, but it's all in one package, which is just amazing.
And once again, it is not for everybody.
No.
I just want 30 people who want to have some serious fucking fun and build wealth through real estate. That's it.
Totally.
And we're going to have fun. We'll probably get together once COVID lifts, get together and do a weekend retreat somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just going to be rad.
I have a hot tip that I really want to drop in here. Ooh. If someone's still listening at this point, I feel like this is perfect. They need to listen to this.
Why wouldn't they be listening?
I don't know. Making dinner or something. I don't know. Just, I leave podcasts all the time. I listen, then I get busy.
Well, they don't leave our podcast.
I don't think you're quite as spastic as me with these things. This came up with our kids this week with their coach. They have a coach helping them with mental side of hockey. Yeah. And this comes up a lot with clients and I want to fix it for them, but it takes a lot of time to learn this. So I'm going to say this, and then anyone who can take this in and really take this to heart, this is super important. and hopefully all these kids do this too. And I think you're going to create an environment where they will do this, but you can't fix something that's not said.
Mm.
You can't deal with anything that's not shared or said.
Yes, Jocelyn, or sorry, that's my client. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't do that.
It's on review. It's on Google review.
I know, but I want to like beep.
Carla will beep that out.
Okay, yeah, I guess it applies to that too.
Totally
but
does.
We're really bumping up against that in a lot of areas. And that's, I think, something we've learned more than anything in all the different things was nothing can be dealt with or fixed or solved.
No, here's the story. So Grady and Kenzie have mind coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, mindset coach. His name is Jason Podolin. Really great guy.
Mm-hmm.
I played hockey with Podsy. I played in the NHL for Florida and Toronto, blah, blah, blah. And so our kids are at the age where we feel mindset is now what they need to focus. It's not shooting pucks anymore.
Well, let's be honest. This is about hockey, but it's
about life.
This is giving them skills to apply to school.
Totally.
Everything.
Like hockey is the vehicle for sure, but there's many more teachings that happen.
So anybody, whether it be a spouse, a coach, a teacher, they can't read your mind. They cannot help you with something. I have like 3 examples that come to mind. Like, well, Grady was talking about how he wanted to do better on this one exam, and this one kid went and complained about it and then got a better mark, but Grady didn't do that. So then I'm like, well, you didn't say anything, so you're not going to get a better mark. Or, we have a client who was just not willing to talk about something. And so we can't solve it because unless we can talk about it, we can't solve it. Or, Grady was struggling with understanding what he was supposed to be working on, but he wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So if you can't admit it.
But this is to his coach. Like this is to somebody who, is meant to guide him.
Yeah.
And so our conversation with Grady was like, dude, he's like, you're supposed to bring this to him.
Yeah.
Like bring this to him and tell him or you don't understand, or the frustrations or the challenges, or you just disagree with it.
Yeah.
Like your job is to bring the truth to him.
Yeah.
His job is to not get a charge from it.
Yeah.
And not get attached to your words, but work through it and navigate through it.
Yeah.
To one, help you understand, or pivot and give you something more challenging that's going to elevate the game.
Yeah.
Because he's operating off of one version of something, and Grady's job is to bring the truth all the time.
Yeah.
That was our coaching.
Because he can't read inside of his mind.
Totally.
And so, this is no different than in a relationship. If I have an issue with some way you're being, but I don't tell you that, how can you possibly know it?
Mm-hmm.
Or
okay. So with that said, how can we make the under 30 program? How do we give them a platform that they can bring that?
Yeah. So that gets created in the pods that you're creating that by creating trust. You create tight knits because it's safer in a smaller group. As you start to feel comfortable and get to know people, you realize you're not going to die once you share something the first time. Right. And then it gets easier the next time. So that's like a little microcosm of life. You start in the pod and then it gets easier in the bigger group, because how many groups have we been in and people won't ask a question the entire time they're in the group, or, but you can feel that they're dealing with a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be part of your onboarding process. And it still doesn't fix it, because we tell our clients all the time, we cannot help you with something you're not bringing and naming. I just wanted to drop this in as a reminder for someone who happens to hear it at this time.
Right.
You can't fix something somebody doesn't know about.
Totally. Yeah. So this is what's coming to mind now is, how do you help someone get off? So, and I might say this wrong, and then we'll end the podcast on this maybe, but
on something said wrong. Love it.
No, well, I want you to bring in your coaching expertise and reword this for me, but because I see often people who will be like, they want to get into real estate, but they don't, it's like a dichotomy, right? They want to be successful in real estate, but they don't want to pay for it, or they don't want to do the work for it, or they don't, or whatever.
Okay. So
where
that fear is coming from where? Their head.
Yeah. Like they're making it up.
They're just, it's about like being, spinning in your head, and then you create all these fears, and then it stops you.
So how do you let's pretend there's 50, 30-year-olds and I want you to, you're the salesperson. Okay. So you're going to sell them.
Oh, to try to get them signed up to your program?
No, but like I see it all the time. It's not just my program. Like go do something. Like you don't have to sign up
Stop
for mine.
thinking about it.
Just get out of your fucking head and go do something.
Yeah.
And then people will say, well, just shoot the puck. Just buy something. Well, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like you can legit buy the wrong property and you're fucked.
Sure.
So, like, but how do we push maybe, or I don't want to persuade, but how do you push someone to take action?
Right.
To join the under 30 program or to join something to go get their desired outcome. Does that make sense?
It does. I think it's individual. It depends on what's stopping them. What's the fear? Is it the money? Is it the belief in themselves of doing what they say they're going to do? Have they never followed through on anything they say they're going to do? So then why would they do this? But unless you start somewhere, you're not going to. It's like 75 hard. You could choose to say like, I suck. I'm a loser. I didn't finish it. And then just throw it all out the window and waste all your progress. But instead you're like, okay, that happened. I'm going to restart.
Could I do, now that you brought up 75 hard, could I do a version of 75 hard for this group? Would that be too much?
So this is where you and I, I think
that'd be too much.
That's too much. So here's my view.
Because then it starts getting out of check of balance.
Here's my view on 75 hard, which is just like another example of life. There's no right way, and everybody has to go their own way. So for instance, you and I, we were both on 75 hard. I was doing it with you, but then I've been told I'm not allowed to run now. And it's sort of like, I went into a little poutiness and upset that I couldn't anymore. But I genuinely have to take care of my back. That's not, that is more important than me saying I got 75 days of 2-a-day workouts. So that's my individual challenge. And so then my challenge is dealing with that injury where you're in a different circumstance. So it's no cookie cutter. All those under 30-year-olds will be in a very different phase. Our job is to teach them to go within and see what's right. Like when we were 30, Jared, if we had learned to slow down and check, like, why are we doing this? Is this right for us? Is this right for us in this moment in time? Totally. Everything comes down to right now, what I'm noticing with myself, with clients, with everybody, it's like, get out of your head, get into your heart and what's right for you. What's your truth? Mm-hmm. What's your life need? What do you need to light you up?
You're so smart. I swear to God, I wish we knew what we knew then what we know now.
But do you?
No.
I mean,
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it got us here. So I'm
don't kid yourself.
But yeah, where could we be?
Where could we have been if we had the guidance or the, paid for coaching or had a group or whatever it was, whatever, because let's be honest, we never had the access to shit like we do now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it'd be pretty rad.
Crazy.
It'd be pretty rad to imagine.
Have a jet.
Oh my God. And then what would that mean?
I'd be traveling all over the place. If I had a jet, would be happy.
He's joking, people.
I'm totally kidding. We're crazy happy without a jet.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's going to be our Truth Is episode of what would we do if we were under 30. Any last parting words?
Just continue, even if you're thinking about doing this program or anything you're thinking about doing, just feel into it. Does it feel like, that's why I love our tagline is fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, is it a fuck yeah?
If it's not a fuck yeah, don't do it.
And you can't,
and that's anything.
That. And you can't answer that from your head.
Yeah.
That's a knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you very much. Yeah. You were awesome once again.
This is fun.
Super grateful.
Off to the gym.
Now we got to go work out because
I do my little rehab exercises.
I'm off 75 hard, but I'm still going to be doing my 2-a-days until I officially start.
Because what was your purpose of 75 hard?
To finish it. I'm super crazy competitive.
Yeah, but what was the purpose of starting it in the first place?
To get fit.
Right.
Because the boat is coming out next week.
Sure. So
I need a 6-pack.
Right. So it's, if you didn't go to the gym,
no, I love it. I swear to God, I love it. And I love, just back to 75 hard. I love running and listening to podcasts. I love, like, I don't listen to music anymore. I drive, I listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
you know, and
You like the structure.
like, I love the structure of it. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm doing it again. Like, could I do it on my own? Absolutely. You know, but I love the structure. I love, it's like, here's what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And then I love the success of achieved, you know.
But for some people, it might be that you need to learn to listen to yourself more than follow a structure.
Yeah. Totally get it.
Just saying.
Yeah. I love you so much. So with that said, I got a favorite of anyone who's still listening, to 3 or 4 people who are left listening. I'm just kidding. I know there's like thousands out there listening, but we want thousands. So if you see value in this podcast and see value in what we're sharing, share it.
And let us know what you'd love to hear about.
Go on Spotify or iTunes or wherever this thing lives, put a comment, share it. Chris is very, very rad. And I'm okay.
You're amazing.
But thanks for listening. We really seriously I don't really care if anyone listens to this, to be totally honest with you. We have a lot of fun doing it. We love The Truth Is. We love the name. We say it all the time.
But we'd love if one person heard and it helped them.
Yeah. If we can impact a handful of people and alter the course of wealth creation, that is pretty rad to me. So share it if you can. And if you feel it's worthy, that'd be great. Follow us on Facebook, which is Jared and Krista, on Instagram, Jared and Krista. And then your Instagram is Krista.
I don't know.
No, K-Hope5. And mine is the Jared Hope. And we also have a company called Tilt Property Group. So make sure you follow us on social media there too. With that said, we're out of here. Bye.
Bye.